Hi, Sagittarius, Sun and Rising. Welcome to your December 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here, a Sun and Sag myself, and definitely interested in this particular forecast. So, this is the last month of 2022. I just can't even wrap my brain around that one. And I thought there wasn't a lot happening, but it turns out that the last month of the year does have a lot going on. As we begin the month, we have our opposite sign, Gemini, active in Mars because there's a Mars retrograde going on, and this is for Sag in the seventh house of committed partnership. And it's really interesting. I was listening to another astrologer or energy reader talking about Mars retrograde and actually saying positive things about it. And I think what that person was trying to say is that when Mars is retrograde, the divine feminine comes out more because you don't have that aggressive energy to fall back on. And, in our society, we have a lot of encouragement, men and women, to adopt the masculine, but it's usually toxic masculinity, not that divine masculine. And this could be a great chance to reset on that front because Sag is a masculine sign. And so masculine signs, they're really doers. They're very active instead of passive. And passivity is important in all areas of life. It sounds like a bad word, but it isn't. And it's interesting because in law of attraction they have a part called the art of allowing, which means that we might set up what we want, but we also have to allow for things to manifest. We can't just be constantly doing. So in this area for Sag, this is going to be the seventh house, and this is a house of partnership. And by the way, a lot of times we may think that the Mars transit through the seventh could spell problems for one-on-one relationships. And yeah, I mean, in some cases, there might be conflict because that is possible aggression. And the seventh house is also lawsuits or, legal matters. So, fighting in a courtroom or something like that. So maybe if some of you have had that, there's like a little bit of a lull in the action. And that can be good because that can allow people to get information, to maybe create a different strategy. And but the other thing too is that Mars is about activity and passion, and so that can be good for relationships. Maybe you're doing things more with your partner, and you're not kind of passing each other in the night. You're actually spending time together. And if this is something that you haven't done a lot, that can be very helpful in a relationship. But when Mars is retrograde, or, even if somebody has had problems, they might be calling a truce. So Neptune goes direct on the 3rd at 22 degrees of Pisces. For Sag, this is the 4th house of home and family. And so any kind of unpleasant realities that have crept up in the last several months, that, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's a reality check of sorts. It can allow for more idealism, which is really helpful if you're trying to manifest your dream home. And also spiritual matters. You know, when Neptune is in your fourth house, you can create a spiritual environment in your home. And maybe you had something like that and you kind of let it go, or you haven't been meditating. You haven't had a meditation practice and you take it up again in the home. On the 6th, Mercury goes into Capricorn, and this is the second house of earned income. And, these planets that are personal, especially Mercury, Venus, and even Mars, they can be very close to the Sun. So it's not unusual for Mercury to go into Capricorn during the month of December. But because we're having a new moon in December, this gives a theme of money matters really coming into the fore. And on the, this can be something where you're crunching numbers, thinking about money for some reason, hopefully counting your money because you have it. There's a full moon on the 7th at 16 degrees of Gemini in that 7th house. And that can be very instructive in terms of certain people, if they are having issues in their relationship, can give them insight into their partner. For people that are having problems, this could be letting go of that relationship. And letting go is not a bad thing because maybe you are fighting too much. And this is something that you need to really look at. We have Mars in Gemini until March of 2023. So it entered Gemini in August. So it's staying in this area for a very long time, and some theme should emerge for you that is connected to seventh house matters, and this full moon can illuminate that. Sometimes when people are fighting, and if you're not the one who's instigating a lot of these fights, that other person may be doing so because they're doing the dirt, and you might find out what that dirt is at the full moon because it might expose them and bring out secrets, and that would be a good thing. All these are good things because then you aren't gaslighted into thinking that you're the crazy one or whatever. On the 9th, Venus goes into Capricorn, so I like that one because that's the money situation. So Venus is the ruler of the second house, so when she enters her own domain, cha-ching, that could be what is happening. And, this isn't the month of Christmas. This is the birthday month for most of us, for me, for sure. And so we might be getting money that way. It's always, for Sag, that's always part of it. But, yeah, this can make you feel like even if you have extra money to buy a luxury item, things that you don't necessarily need but that you want. But the next few weeks can be really great for attracting material resources. On the 20th, Jupiter goes back into Aries, and that's nice because instead of a hard angle with Jupiter in Pisces, although I just want to say, too, that Jupiter and Neptune both being in Pisces and probably forming a loose conjunction in that fourth house of home and family, that can be fairly auspicious because especially if you're looking for some kind of dream home or living space, that might be a great time to call that in. But then on the 20th, right before the solstice, Jupiter goes back into Aries and it forms a trine, and it's in the fifth house, which is a lot of fun. It's also the house of love and creativity. So these things can be more abundant in our lives. We've already had Jupiter in that fifth house, before it retrograded. So we've had a little taste of that. And then on the 21st, we have the solstice. I like to say the winter solstice because, I live in the northern hemisphere, and that's what it is. And it's like the return of the light. As I record this, we just had our daylight savings time, and now the days get shorter. It gets darker earlier. But um, you know, it I've been waking up earlier, so that's nice. And so this is a power period. This is when the sun goes into Capricorn, and so for Sagittarius, this affects our material resources sector. And I would say in a positive way, because 2 days later we have a new moon at 1 degree of Capricorn, a very early degree of Capricorn. And this is some kind of new, like a fresh start, a new beginning in the area of how you make money. And how will this manifest for you? I don't know. You might develop a new income stream, or you could, I think that could even be like a raise where you're making more money. But I like the idea of a new income stream because Jupiter is in that fifth house. It can be a great time to start a business. And I'm not talking about just necessarily this month, but for the time that Jupiter is here, because Jupiter goes into Taurus next May. So there's like this 5-month window of having Jupiter in this area that can be your own business. And there's also another thing that's amazing is that there are going to be 2 solar eclipses in that fifth house in March and April of 2023. So this area is going to be lit, this area of creativity and love, and Jupiter is going to be right there as part of it. So envision for yourself what kind of new income streams you would like, maybe even more than one, and plant those seeds of intention. And I think it's especially great to do so with a Capricorn new moon, because it is so much about the tangible. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. It's not about pie in the sky stuff. On the 29th, Mercury goes retrograde at 24 degrees of Capricorn in that second house of earned income. Oh, wow. Okay, well, is the check in the mail, or did it do a detour? Good reason to do everything online for the most part, but of course, Mercury can affect the technology too. But yeah, this can create some snafus as it pertains to checks, money that you're expecting, your income. This is only a few weeks long, so don't worry, even if there are some things that slow down or get confused, you can always rectify them. And so we go into the new year with the Mercury retrograde. I really like it when we have a green light in January, but that's going to happen for us. It may be delayed a little bit, but it will happen, starting in the latter part of January. We will have Mars already direct, and Mercury will turn direct, and we'll just start to see things kind of build up until that magical month of March 2023, which I will be talking about in a future video. Okay, Sag, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I am promoting my double readings because they are a great value. And it's an hour of natal chart analysis and an hour of important transits. Well, transits in general, but things that I deem important in the upcoming year. So, especially since if you order now, it's be all of 2023. I've been doing 2023 for a while now, but it's such a great time when you are having your solar return because you're already thinking about fresh starts. So it kind of gives you the themes of the energy and how it affects you personally. Because if you're listening as a sun sign, your rising sign can totally make your natal chart totally different. And all these transits might manifest in totally different ways. That's called my deep dive reading. And I have another double reading with the tarot called the whole enchilada, and standalone readings as well. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.